Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another exciting episode of the WOD Squad, the show where we talk about streaming technology. This is episode 233 on 5/5/21, otherwise known as Cinco de Mayo. I am Clyde, and today I am joined by Matthew Ross
Happy Cinco de Mayo.
and Michael Aston.
Howdy, everybody. Happy Revenge of the Fifth Day.
Because
Correct,
yesterday was May the 4th.
Correct.
Be with
Yes.
you to today.
And the rest of the month will be This is the May.
Oh, no.
I
I draw
thought-
the line.
I
No.
thought this was James May month where everybody has to drive really slow.
I do that anyway, so that's fine.
Yeah.
Every month is James
No,
May month.
but the thing is, when everybody's driving really slow,
Oh, gotcha.
you're gonna be miserable. Yeah. So this is a themed episode because he's got himself a margarita not delivered by a minor, as we
No,
established.
no, not delivered by a
not
man.
delivered by a minor.
So apparently, I have a family over right now, and we have my mother-in-law, and she loves margaritas. And so she said, "I'm going to make you a margarita." It's like, "Oh, okay." And you can watch. And I said, "Well, maybe I'll drink it during my podcast." She says, "That sounds like a good idea."
Yeah.
I
was
just
like, okay.
I just want to know what you guys have against minors. I mean, they're struggling in this down economy and they need work.
Yeah, I agree.
Well,
The coal is not being mined as much as it used to be.
up on the
Holy
iron,
crap.
up in northern Minnesota, the Iron Range is they're booming.
Okay, well,
They're
I'll
they're
tell the miners then.
booming because the federal government placed too many regulations, so they shut down all the mines. And China said, we don't care about fines. And they bought all the mines, put all the people back to work. Now all the iron comes out of the ground, goes straight on a boat, and goes over to China.
Oh man, that sucks.
Yep.
No, one thing was that my mother-in-law said that in order to have a margarita on the show tonight, I had to put it in a margarita glass. And I was like, well, you don't have to. But she says, but I want to. So she went out and looking for one, and she could
Wow.
not find one.
Well,
She,
yeah.
but until she went to Goodwill, 98 cents. So it was good.
There you go. I was gonna say, it's like the worst day to buy beer is on Super Bowl Sunday. The worst day to buy a margarita glass is probably on Cinco de Mayo.
Oh, she just did this like last weekend. So,
Okay.
but still.
I thought she went out today.
Okay, well, I'm gonna probably be sucking on that slowly, and it'll probably melt before the end of the episode, or I'm gonna down it, and it'll be one of those episodes. So.
All right. Well, let's
Either
get
way.
this thing in gear.
All right, either way, it sounds good. So we're gonna start with a story about HBO Max. HBO Max is looking to do their new version of their service, where they're going to provide you the same service with ads for a lower price. Looks like they've come out and announced that their plan is to come out with an ad-supported version in June, and that new version will be $10 per month instead of the usual $15. So is $5 a month less worth having ads?
No.
No,
insane.
considering some of the content on HBO Max already has ads at the $15.
Which content is that?
I want to say it's stuff from other channels that's not HBO originals,
Okay.
because there's a lot of Warner content on there. And I want to say it was like some of the Cartoon Network stuff for sure.
Really? They put ads on that?
And it's usually like pre-roll. Now, my question to this is, are they going to put ads in the middle?
Nothing in the article explains that, and I would imagine if they did that, the negative backlash would be so great that everybody would pay $15.
Well, and that's kind of what they're hoping for. But
I don't know. I wonder how much money they make from the ads.
I mean,
but-
because a lot of the content, the non-original content, non-HBO original content is already formatted with ad breaks in mind. So it would make sense that they would do that. Much like when you watch a VOD on YouTube TV from Cartoon Network or, one of those channels that makes you watch the ads. But yeah, I was going to say, if it's just pre-roll, then absolutely save the $5. But if they're putting it in the middle, breaking up the content, then no, absolutely not.
I suspect that they wouldn't do this if it only made them $5 a month per user. So they're looking at this as a net positive increase
absolutely.
in revenue. So they want people to accept this offering, save some money, and get ads. My suspicion is there probably are in longer form video, probably mid video ad breaks, like you indicated, Clyde. They're generally set so that they can. So I would expect there probably would be in long form content, probably not in short form, like 30-minute shows. We'll see though.
I was going to say, because a lot of those.
Well, I won't, because there's no way I would ever do this. I don't have HBO Max, but I would never pay.
I just hope that, so I get HBO Max for free through AT&T. I just hope they don't say, oh, well, we're still giving you HBO Max for free, but it's the ad version.
Ooh, I wonder.
Angry.
Now, that would be a really logical, actually, approach, right? Mm-hmm. If they introduce this just so that they can add ads for the people that are getting it free and convince those people to pay $5 or something a month to get rid of the ads.
Yeah, you know what would happen? I would just stop using it.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to pay them $15. Because historically, like when people got HBO, or let's say Hulu, when they got Hulu for free, they would get the ad version, and you couldn't pay the difference to get the ad free. And I'm just talking historically with these free bundles with other services. Upgrading and paying the extra money was never an option, and I doubt it would be an option in this case. So
yeah, I mean, I'm probably their target then, right? Like if I cared about HBO Max enough to want it, then I would be willing to pay the $15 over free because of ads. Yeah. There's no way, like, I'm so averse to ads. I don't know how much I pay to get rid of them, but I pay a lot of money right now to get rid of ads in all of my things. So
when we got our AT&T deal a while ago with our cell phones, and they would give us the DirecTV Now and AT&T Now stuff for a reduced price, eventually they dropped that reduced price a lot, to the point where it was basically not free, not any reduction at all. It was really annoying to us. And that kind of creep that they did for that, well, they kind of did that to kind of they kind of were trying to push everybody out of the way for that service. Anyways, they're trying to kill it. So maybe that's what the reason they did it for there. But here, if they do the same thing with that would suck altogether. Also, if they start putting ads in the middle of the movies, yeah, I think there's where your revolt really would happen. And last but not least, I just want to say that this is basically a snow cone with booze. So,
well, that's like the definition of a margarita, isn't that?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's just like it's mostly shaved ice. It's fine. It's good.
It's an adult snow cone.
I agree. Hey, so Microsoft is actually, whoops, that's skipped the story. Let me go back one. Google has made some updates to their Google Assistant. They are making some changes to make it a little bit more user friendly. Noted here is the ability for you to tell Google Assistant how to correctly pronounce a name. For example, if it's been saying your name wrong this whole time, you can say, Google, I want you to pronounce it correctly. I want you to call me Matthew, or whatever you want to say,
Smatthew
Matthew.
with an S. Smatthew.
So you will be able to get um, uh, Google Assistant to correctly pronounce names that you put in the system for it. So that's kind of a cool.
Yeah.
feature.
Yeah,
So-
but I kind of like when it mispronounces words.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you've been able to correct your own name in the past, but only your name. This will allow you to do all of your contacts.
Mm.
Oh, I can think of the
But-
pranks now. This is great. I love this.
I have a actual experience with this. So last summer I was driving over to get fireworks because my state is dumb and they don't like revenue. So I had to go to the next state over to get the good stuff like everybody else in this state. And I was driving and my buddy was with me and he said because we were between cities, but he asked, he said, where are we? So I asked Android assistant, I said, hey, G-Man, where are we? And it said like the name of a town and then said why. And I was like, what do you mean why? I don't have to justify why I'm asking you. And I asked it again and it said you are currently blah blah blah. Why? It wasn't until later that I realized it was trying to pronounce the short version of Wisconsin, which is WI.
Ah.
So it's like it kept saying why. It's like, what do you mean why? It's not your job to ask me why.
Yeah.
Only to do what I tell you to do.
You know, the other thing about this in this article that I thought was interesting is that they're working on the natural language processing to better understand context.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of processing each word individually, processing the entire context of the sentence at the same time. My favorite part is that the assistant can now respond nearly 100% accurately to alarms and timer tasks. I'm like, wow, how did the bar get so low that we're excited now that it can set alarms and timers
No,
correctly?
actually, they broke that because I use the alarm function on my Google Home because there's times where I'll have to get up at a different time than I normally do. I'm not going into my phone and monkeying with my alarms because I'll mess something up and I'll forget to go back and change it. So I'll tell my Google Home to set an alarm for a specific time because it's a one time only. Well, there was some sort of update about a week or so ago. Now the alarm's going off. And when I tell it to stop, it goes, I'm not doing anything, or I don't have anything to stop. And the alarm keeps going and keeps going because I tell it to stop, but it doesn't understand anymore that stop means stop the alarm. And I ended up having to unplug this stupid thing because I was angry. They broke it. I mean, Android Assistant has understood context for years. They were light years ahead of everybody else in that regard. But I don't think people utilize the context correctly. Because a lot of times you can ask it follow-up questions based on the answers that it previously gave you, and it understands, and then also proper punctuation. I've usually had good results because I use proper punctuation. I specify comma and question mark when I'm doing texts and stuff, where most people don't.
Right. Another thing it says that they did here is that they made it so it is able to understand when you change your mind mid-sentence. So if you are trying to tell it to do something and then the mid-sentence you're like, oh, I want to set an alarm for 20 minutes. it knows that you meant 20 minutes. It
Right.
is able to pick up that kind of a
Yep.
kind of
Yeah.
a change. So that's
I
kind
mean,
of a
I
cool
think
idea.
I'm excited about this. You know, I don't use Google Assistant, but I think it's always exciting when they advance the technology a little bit more. I personally use timers and alarms all the time. It's probably the most common thing I use my Echo for is setting timers and stuff like that. And in my morning alarms, those are all. And the only thing I've ever encountered on my Echo that it can't handle is if I have two alarms that are set and overlap, because I maybe snooze one and then I can't tell it to dismiss a snoozed alarm. I have to wait till it comes on again to dismiss it.
Mhm.
That's the only thing I've encountered that I can't figure out. So hopefully Google's figured that out because Amazon is not.
If the alarm is on your phone, you can bring it up and dismiss it. That's one place you could do it.
Yeah, I
so.
can do it on the phone app too, as well. Yeah.
But I don't know about the speakers. That's a good point. More I could talk about this, but let's move on. Microsoft has decided to do, I don't know, maybe it makes sense right about now to go ahead and reduce the amount of money they're charging for people for games and other things inside their app store. They've followed the lead of Epic, who just recently reduced it to 12%, and are also doing a 12% revenue for themselves for all the things on their platform. And as the Matt Booty, the Xbox Game Studio head, said, seems like a good time to do that without mentioning the words Epic or Apple.
Is that his real name? Or is that his screen name?
I don't
know. Is that
know.
like his version of Poodle Puncher?
As one of millions of Matts in the world, okay, Matt Booty.
Oh, he might be one of the guys from that other dimension in Buckaroo Banzai, because they were all like, there was John Big Booty, and they all had like booty names.
No idea. All right. So here we are. Spotify has apparently made changes to their interface. Your library interface has been updated in a way to make it a little bit easier for you to search your library. Apparently, it used to be set up in a way where their podcasts were kind of tucked into the side of the phone interface, and it was harder for you to search and find your content. One of the basic things they've done is they've added a search section to the top to make it much easier to find. I know at least one person has been upset about their Spotify interfaces. Did this fix it?
This is what they're bragging about now is exactly what I was complaining about a week ago or a week or two. They've made it easy to get to the podcast. It's impossible to get to the music that I'm paying for. I don't want the podcasts, especially when I'm driving, because they limit how much you can scroll while your vehicle's moving. So a lot of times I can't even get to the stuff that I want because it's now pushed so far down that it will not let me while I'm driving, and that's the only time I listen to Spotify. So no, I will say whatever they're bragging about, they're wrong. It's terrible.
Oh well, I'm sorry. Hopefully they fix it for you. Because
no, they're just gonna be like, oh, okay, you don't want to give us $10 anymore. Well, and actually those prices are going up again, so
again,
I believe so. I saw something about that. I don't know if we have it in our stories, but
no, I don't have it in our stories. So YouTube is testing a new feature, which is very much like SoundCloud, where you will be able to see comments and place comments on a specific time of a video. YouTube does have the ability for you to have a live session of your video of a show, and you would have that all your time stuff, stamp stuff appear correctly in the chat of that live session. Similar to that, they're also going to be able to let you allow actual comments in a video, specifically at specific times within the scrub bar. You'll be able to see little marks where those comments have been left. This is very much in a beta and an alpha. They're only allowing certain people to try it right now, so it's you probably won't see it anywhere. But we'll see if this ends up being something that we see on more of these videos.
So, can you do comments in YouTube in live streams?
Yes.
Oh yeah,
But
they're live.
they're in a chat
chat.
along the side. So if you watch a recording of a live stream after the fact, they don't show up on the video, but they show up in the normal chat area on YouTube.
And in the time that they would normally appear.
And yeah, and then it scrolls through in real time with the video. Oh, it was recorded.
Okay. Kind of interesting.
But so are either of you familiar with SoundCloud? With how
only a tiny bit.
Okay. So what SoundCloud does, and this I kind of hope that if they go with this, they give us a way to turn it off, because it's overlaid over the video along the bottom, and it's got like usually has marks where there were a lot of comments here. There's, a lot of comments here or not. So then you can see the peaks and the valleys.
Right.
And I hope they don't do that, because
SoundCloud
it makes
has
sense.
no video in it, right?
But that's what I was saying. It makes sense to do it that way for audio, because you got nothing else. But I don't think it makes sense for video. So that's what has me wonder, because they specifically said, like SoundCloud, if it wasn't similar in the way they're implementing it, they wouldn't even reference that.
There's a lot of variations you could do on that, though. Like, imagine putting that over the top of the play box, right? So that it would just be a simple wave over the box, over the play bar, the progress bar for things. Then like you could see where the most comments are.
But when you mouse away, it disappears.
When you mouse away, it disappears.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Something like that'd be cool.
I just saying it needs to be a way to dismiss it.
Yeah.
Because also, if you can dismiss it, that kind of defeats the purpose of even having it there. Because if it auto goes away, like when you mouse off, then that defeats the whole purpose of it being there. But if you need a way, there just needs to be a way that I can shut it down.
I've seen some SoundCloud comments that are like, short novels. So
I see. My suspicion is that they probably recognize that there's a difference between a pure audio product and a AV product.
Fingers crossed. Well, but they didn't seem to understand that YouTube Red might be misconstrued for another competing property.
Well, that was
one of many mistakes.
That's an epic,
like I said,
oversight.
That.
Oh boy!
All right.
I was in mid-drink. Pardon me. All right. What might be the story of the week, only because it has made the most noise, Roku has made good on their threat with Google and Apple TV, or not Apple TV, Google and YouTube TV, and have pulled the YouTube TV app from the App Store for Roku devices.
Yep.
That means that if you already have YouTube TV installed on your Roku, you are just fine. You may continue watching your content. It is not stopping you in any way from getting it. But if you have access to a Roku device and you'd like to install the YouTube TV app, it is no longer available in the store. This is the kind of tactic that has been used by Roku before in the past for different, for various different content providers. To try to push into better deals with the companies when their contracts are running out or have run out, like it has apparently done here. Apparently the time for the contract has in fact run out, and they have made demands that Google do certain things, and Google's like going, the response from Google is like, we're not doing anything really. This is really kind of like not fair, but okay. The response is kind of bland almost. So we'll see.
It almost sounds like we're not doing anything.
True,
but here's say that.
Yeah, so but here's my problem. Roku is asking for Google to do 4 simple things, simple commitments, according to Roku. Yeah. Well, first, not to manipulate consumer search results, which has nothing to do with Roku. Second, not to require access to data not available to anyone else, which Are they doing that with Roku? I don't know. Third, not to leverage their YouTube monopoly to force Roku to accept hardware requirements that would increase consumer costs. Now, I can kind of see this because maybe it's like, and our next version of the YouTube TV app will require AV1 support, and your Roku does not support that. Then guess what? People will not be able to will stop using YouTube TV because guess what? Your Roku, which is perfectly good, could play it just fine if they just continue to have support for it. So I'm sorry. I still don't think that's quite it. And number 4, not to act in a discriminatory and an anti-competitive manner against Roku. Well, none of these things are really anything that substantive. I don't think this is all kind of like minutia that they're arguing about.
I think the one thing that so in regards to the search results, being that I'm an avid Roku user, and I use YouTube TV, I can speak to this. If Google did want to restrict searches to YouTube while YouTube TV and YouTube is open, I get where Google or where Roku would have a problem with that, because the whole point of the Roku search is I'll be watching, let's say I'm watching a video and somebody mentions, let's say, Ice Pirates, and I go, oh yeah, hey, Ice Pirates. And I go, hey, I push the button and I tell Roku Ice Pirates. I want it because Roku will show me everywhere that it's available.
Yeah. Google
doesn't want you to. Google only wants you, or what they're claiming, and we don't know if it's actually true, is that search, since I paused my YouTube video, they're saying that Google wants that search result to be restricted to YouTube, so it would only give me results for Ice Pirates on YouTube in that scenario. And that is the thing that if they did ask for that restriction, then I would side with Roku and say absolutely not.
Okay, forgive me if I don't understand, but isn't Roku the operating system? Isn't that button on the remote theirs?
Yes.
Where when they press that button,
Exactly.
It absolutely overrides every single application and goes back to that? How would YouTube TV, Google, and et al., and anybody else be able to stop them?
No, but that's what they're saying is if you don't give us this, then we're not going to agree.
But it's nothing to give. They can't give them that.
No, they could. You can write in the code that while an app is open, then this search function works within the app.
Well, then also Roku has the power within their code to say, no, it doesn't let you do
No.
that.
What I'm saying is Roku has the ability to put that in, which is what they're saying Google wants them to do. And they're saying we don't want to.
Well,
that's what I was saying. It is theoretically possible that Roku could write that into the OS for anybody. But
agreed.
But no.
There's a search button at the top of the screen of your YouTube thing where you can search for, and that works great. If you press the Roku search button, having it come up with the Roku search results.
Now, devil's advocate,
there.
Devil's advocate, if I'm an avid voice user and I'm also an avid YouTube watcher on the Roku, yes, it would be handy if when I finished a video and someone says, hey, bring up the VOD Squad, and I could just push the button and say the VOD Squad, and then YouTube automatically searched. Yes, that would be handy, but that's not up to, that's not something that you can demand of Roku.
And also, it would make perfect sense for you to be able to bring up the button and say, find the VOD Squad on YouTube.
Yeah,
and then it would do that.
I mean,
people are lazy.
The thing about these claims that's completely ridiculous is that these are so non-specific that there's no way to make any kind of reasonable assessment of whether or not Google is actually doing something bad or is doing something that literally every company in their situation is and would be doing. It's Hulu or Roku, if they want to, engender support for their side, they need to actually give something that's meaningful, not these like
Yeah.
broad generalizations that could mean anything from literally criminal to totally innocent and everybody would do it.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. This is kind of pointless. Give us actual useful information. And, you know, of course, Google comes back and says, we're not doing any of these things. This is all baseless claims. And if you're going to give a claim that unspecific, I would definitely refute it and say that these are baseless. So I'm going to put the onus on Roku here to actually say something meaningful. Besides, I'm currently very unhappy with Roku, which is not going to change until they fix their app. So,
okay.
Or which app?
I'll rant about it in
okay.
my rant.
I'm interested.
Yeah, Roku. This is the thing they've done in the past, and they will continue to do again. So, well, it'll happen again with the next product, I'm sure. So we'll see what happens next time. Hey, let's talk about Hulu since we mentioned it accidentally. Hulu has added the Viacom CBS networks to their system, especially the live service. So you are able to watch all of the various CBS and Viacom channels now on the Roku, which if you have the no ads version, you can have access to the Comedy Central, Nickelodeon, VH1, MTV, and the Paramount Network starting today. So that's freaking awesome. That makes Hulu once again probably one of the best deals on streaming TV out there. So good on them.
Sure.
That's only on the live TV, right? It's not on regular Hulu.
Right. So this is Hulu TV, live TV. I mean, honestly, like it would be meaningful if they were adding any networks that had any consequence in the last decade or two.
Well, I mean,
you must
it
have
would
no
be
kids
nice.
who like Nickelodeon.
I mean, I like Nickelodeon.
Okay, maybe Nickelodeon's worth watching.
You know, that is the one thing that basically pushed us into getting, what was it? That other streaming service, Philo, because it had Nick. So
I feel like, I mean, I haven't watched Nickelodeon in a long time, but I feel like the last couple of times I watched Nickelodeon, all of the good shows were reruns of Nickelodeon. So I don't know.
Once again, you are probably too old for them now.
I was going to say I would like to watch The Owl House, but that might actually be on Disney.
But see, that's a failure on the network side, right? Like you can definitely make good animated shows for kids that adults enjoy. There are endless examples of this. So if Nickelodeon isn't producing something that your parents can enjoy with you, then it's not producing good enough content, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough. Even though all those other channels are actually good free, essentially free additions to the Hulu Live package, and since Hulu Live does have DVR functionality built into it, even though you don't have video on demand necessarily from the base system, you can record the show that was on those channels. That's a pretty awesome comparison compared to basically the other big player in the room, other players in the room, which is YouTube TV and who else for the gets everything kind of channel?
Philo.
No, Philo's only $20 a month, and that's almost nothing.
Oh, but I was going to say no. They had the Viacom stuff for a long time.
Yes, they have the Viacom.
That's
stuff,
what I was saying.
But I was wondering who's left of the big cover everything providers.
Sling.
YouTube TV. Sling kinda, yeah.
Yeah, Sling's still there.
ABC. They're missing one of the channels though. Still, aren't they?
Well, they lost some stuff at one point, but yeah, I don't know. Fubo.
Fubo, that's right. They kind of came in from behind and have become a real thing.
Because they were if you only care about sports channel, but then all the sports went away, so they had to be, hey.
If you only care about sports,
we've got other
come back
stuff
to us
now.
in a couple of years.
Yeah. Yeah, Fubo. But yeah.
All right. Here's an interesting a bit of information. iOS, the guys who love to hack into the betas of the newer versions of the operating system have hacked into the fact that looks like a lossless audio codec is being introduced into the newer versions of the newer Apple OS, and this new lossless format is going to be something on the music app. The theory is that this is going to be a competitor to Spotify's hi-fi audio system that they have here. And so those audiophiles who really want their high-end music, you can now get a lossless audio format of your looks like a version of the lossless audio will be coming to the Apple Music app as well.
Okay.
I can tell you myself that I could care less about this.
I'm big into music, and even I don't care. I mean, but then again, I've got so much hearing loss from my time in the military that I don't even know if I could tell the difference. The one thing I can say, that picture, whatever those headphones are, they are hideous.
Those are the Apple Hi-Fi.
Oh man, those are
AirPods
the ugliest
Max,
things since those are the ugliest thing I've seen since a Tesla.
So
they're
you
terrible.
should totally take a moment to watch those initial reactions, because actually the funniest thing about those is the carrying case, I must say. I won't say anything else about it, but you should probably go watch it just to see the reactions about the carrying case that comes with it. It's bad.
For the AirPod Max?
Yeah, the ear pods, those headphones, those whatever they call them, I can't remember. Yeah, but the carrying case has been branded a certain way, which is hilarious.
Is it this like shower bag?
No, worse.
No, I found some pictures. I did a search for the Apple Hi-Fi carrying case, and I didn't get what I think.
Oh Lord, that's awful.
So they call it a woman's brassiere.
Well, oh my goodness!
What the? Okay.
I just want to. I want to shake the hand of the guy that had the balls to recommend that case.
And also,
after they designed,
the headphones don't turn off until you put them in the case.
Because that has to have been a joke. And somebody was like, "I dare you to try to get that produced." And the guy did it, and then Apple released it, and then the world laughed at the joke. Because there's no way that was not a dare.
I don't know what to say.
That's awful.
Oh, sorry. And official statement just came in from Apple. You're looking at it wrong.
Sounds about right.
You're supposed to look at it cross-eyed with one eye squinting.
I don't think you're supposed to look at it at all. Okay. Yeah.
All right. So here's the story, guys. This is interesting because it's big movers, big things moving around. So we've had a lot of big companies being kind of merged and mashed around and moved around the industry. And it looks like Verizon has decided to sell a portion, not all, but a portion of their assets of Yahoo and AOL onto an investment firm called Apollo Global Management. This is for $5 billion. The new company will be called Yahoo. And this is a portion of all those different companies. I mean, it wasn't there. Warner was built into this for a while, was bought into it and sold it. And there was a question about Mozilla buying parts of it for a while for millions of dollars. And that was a thing was going on for back in the 90s. And Verizon has been holding onto it and trying to make things with it. And for a while, they were going to rename this thing Oath. Remember that? Oath? Well, good thing they dropped that. That was a bad idea. And now it has finally been moved on to being Verizon Media being renamed into Yahoo and owned by this I don't know what this
I was going to say, why do they dislike Apollo so much that they're going to dump this companies on this? I will say I miss Yahoo. As a search engine, it was my favorite.
I liked Yahoo because if I knew the category I was looking for,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't know what was in the category,
Mm-hmm.
they actually had a pretty good category breakdown system back in the day. Where it's like, I'm looking for computers, computer hardware, graphics cards, you know, then and you would break it down and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
there's the website or the things for that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, it was. I mean, geez, we're old, right? Like we're so old that we remember the day when it was feasible to categorize every website and to actually look at lists of websites that fit into a category. But I agree, early days I used Yahoo, and I believe that even when Google came out, it was still far superior for a
Mm-hmm.
while, at least for the way that I navigated it made it much easier to have that serendipitous find of a website, right? That was in a category and anything that you liked. I thought that was great. That was also back in the day of web rings, so you could click on a arrow on the bottom of the web page and go to another similar web page. So yeah, I mean it was great. I think that I still actually occasionally use Yahoo Finance for financial information. That's the only thing I've used Yahoo for in the last almost decade, probably. But it still has a pretty good finance tool with pretty good
Their
information.
services are fine. But I always loved the fact that when I opened up my browser and I went to Yahoo as the homepage, it would give me just enough information I wasn't necessarily looking for without being overbearing. Not like you go to MSN and it's just an entire page plastered with crap you don't care about and you can't even find the search bar. So it was a happy medium between like the sparse nothingness of Google's start page and like the other browsers that just wanted to blast you with information. And yeah.
And you could make it blast you with information too. I remember YouTube, the Yahoo, you could log in with it and it would start giving you specific things you want. Back when that was the first starting, that was good.
I was really, really upset when they got rid of the I can't remember, like I something, your iPage or whatever, the Yahoo customized page. Because that was my homepage on my browser for a very long time. You could customize it and have your weather and all your widgets all set up correctly to get a custom page. I loved that, but
it was the desktop on my on Windows. Remember when you could do live desktop?
Oh goodness, no.
For a while. No. But okay.
I never did that. I was always a little too scared to have the internet just open all the time on my desktop. But
well, those are also dial-up days. And if your uncle didn't own the dial-up ISP, it would cost a ton of money.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, so back to Verizon. Yeah, I'm interested to see how this shakes out.
Yeah, and also it's not clear exactly which parts were sold necessarily, and so we'll see what gets. I mean, who knows what?
Yeah, I mean, they're gonna
Yahoo Finance might stay behind. Who knows?
I mean, plus they're retaining a 10% stake in the company, so I would assume it's all of it because they're still, technically owning part of it. They just sold a majority stake.
True.
So,
all right. Let's move on. If you are a user of Box, which is kind of a Dropbox and a Google Drive and a OneDrive competitor, they have a new feature for you audio files out there. You can upload your audio and use an interface built into it to automatically clean up your audio for background noises and balancing it for a cleaner sound and a bunch of different features that are available from Dolby.io. So the guys at Dolby have these media processing setups built into it. Box will allow you to do up to 200 minutes per month for free of audio cleanup built into this, which, it's not nothing. and this allows you to use it to maybe make your podcast sound better. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So the actual cost is a maximum of 5 cents per minute.
Oh.
So, yeah, you get up to 200 minutes for free, and then anything after that. So if we were, if I were to drop our, on average, hour and a half episodes,
And 90 minutes. So that for two.
we
So,
would
yeah.
get, we'd be able to clean one of them for free and a little bit of the next one, and then we'd be paying 5 cents a minute. So you get to watch me math very slowly.
$45 for every 90-minute episode.
Okay, there we go. So yeah, $45 an episode.
Oh no, excuse me, 4.5.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was
I
like,
forgot.
wow.
I was gonna say it's much less than that.
Okay,
No, I'm
I
so
mean that's
sorry.
not
I
too
had the
bad.
decimal point in the wrong spot. I am a little drunk.
And I will say, for 4.5 per episode, if it does a really good job, might be worth it. But
It's actually, it's about $9 a month. So,
Mhm.
You know, $2.11, $2.12 an episode, because you get the first 200 free. So
Right.
it's, the first episode and a half are free. So it's not that bad, really.
You can test. By the way, I've just by chance, I decided to try the Dolby recorder app on my Android phone, which does a lot of this cleanup to your own, like video voice recordings that you put on the phone. So you can try a similar, see what kind of effect it could do for you, using your own Android device, or maybe an iOS device. I would probably have something similar. So
this sounds like a perfect Patreon upgrade.
what? if you
Milestone.
if you upgrade to Patreon, you get the Dolby IO version of the audio of this thing.
No, I just mean like a milestone. If we get X number of people, then we'll start using this.
maybe.
So you can
Or
hear
we could
our
just
voices
do,
crystal
or we could do it one even better. If we get to, let's say 30 patrons, 30 paying patrons, I will hire someone to do the audio every month, rather than me trying to throw it together at the end of the show so I can go to bed.
Whatever.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's how most people feel about Tom Hanks movies. Anyways, whatever. Looks
It's
like
fine.
Apple TV, which recently picked up the movie, what was it? Greyhound from Tom Hanks.
Yeah, he wasn't happy about
He would,
how that broke.
well, Apple was pretty happy about it because apparently it came up with Oscar nominations.
Yeah.
So Apple was very happy about that. So much so that they went ahead and said, "Hey, Tom Hanks, you got another movie coming? Oh, this movie called Finch. We'll pick that one up too." So if you're into Tom Hanks movies, and you're gonna just have to go ahead and get yourself lined up with the Apple TV subscription, because his next movie is also going to be coming only to that platform.
Okay. Do you know anything about Finch?
Not a thing.
It's about a guy who builds a robot to take care of his dog. And then
Okay.
the three set out into a post-apocalyptic American West where Finch teaches his robot the joy and wonder of being alive.
Okay. Doesn't immediately ring as a Tom Hanks thing, but maybe.
Young Tom Hanks, when he was doing stuff like Bachelor Party
Yeah.
or The Man with One Red Shoe.
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
Yes, Bad Weeb, I was thinking the same thing. I wonder if this is somehow related to A Boy and His Dog. This could be the stealth sequel. Imagine if Tom Hanks had been in A Boy and His Dog instead of Don Johnson. I don't know. All I know is I'm curious how Tom Hanks feels about this, because he was very vocal about not how not happy he was with the the Greyhound movie only being available on the internet.
Yeah, so I wonder if he also was, so coming up to Apple and with his anger, if he has any pull at all with these kind of things, which he probably does.
Probably doesn't. I doubt he had any.
You never know, but I bet you anything. They said, "Oh, don't worry, Tom. We'll pay you well." Anyway, okay, I feel better. Money fixes many things, and when you're Apple, money is a thing you have. Okay, speaking of how you feel about things, apparently Spotify filed a patent for a voice recognition system. This system was specifically designed in order to figure out if to hear from the person and figure out the emotional state of a person, among other things like how old they are, the gender of the person, the what's making them do things. So it's kind of let's try to figure out more kind of contextual information about what they hear inside with this technology. What we have here is a bunch of music artists were sending a letter to Spotify saying, please don't use this to track our users, the people listen to this, and trying to use this as information in order to advertise with or try to figure out how to discriminate against people. So it's which is an interesting stance. I mean, I could see that being abused. Spotify responded by saying that they had never implemented it and they don't ever plan on doing it in the way that's being described by in that shared letter. And also that they have every right to patent the technology and not use it. So this is an interesting story.
Yeah, go ahead.
My answer to them is, number one, if we developed a thing, we have every right in the world to patent it. And number two, you're a musician. Stay in your lane.
So here's the thing. This is the thing that drives me crazy about people that don't know what they're talking about getting into these kinds of things. Fine to not want Spotify to do this, but to think that Spotify abandoning the use of this technology is going to keep this type of technology from existing and being utilized in a bad way, not the way Spotify would use it, but in a way that would be maybe governments using it or whatever. That doesn't work. You can't just wish something out of existence and think, oh well, this company that would have almost certainly used this in a non-discriminatory, Big Brother type way, probably just in order to help them make a little bit more money and recommend something that you would like more at that exact moment. I'm sorry, but that's not how technology works.
Yeah.
You can't just put, oh, sorry, let's delete that concept from existence.
Well, and the thing is, if they don't seek a patent, then you basically guarantee that everybody's going to be using it because they don't need permission.
Sort of. I mean, the one downside to a patent is that it does require an explanation of the process that generates that result. So, there is some publicization of it, but you would never patent something that you thought was so novel that it would be improbable for somebody else to come up with it, which is exactly my point. If you thought your technology was so brilliant that nobody else could come up with it, you wouldn't need to patent it. You would keep it as a secret, a trade secret, like, KFC's spice blend recipe. So they're patenting it because they think that other people will eventually get there through their own research and their own analysis of natural language processing.
I was just saying
right
that they want them to not patent it. I was just saying that not patenting it doesn't prevent people from getting it. I mean, and I can almost guarantee that it will make it out into the wild one way or another. And if it's not patented, then anybody that gets their hands on it They don't have to develop it. They don't have to ask for permission to use it.
Yeah.
And
Well, I mean, you're making the assumption right now that the government doesn't already have this,
Right.
and the ability to do these things. I mean, companies like, if Spotify has something like this, you got to assume companies like Google and Amazon that have probably vastly more sophisticated language processing systems than Spotify, because they have orders of magnitude more developers working on that kind of stuff.
Who do you think gave it to Spotify in the first place? They've got 3-letter organization, first letter N, last letter A, and I'm pretty sure there's an S in there someplace. Yeah, because I mean, it's not like the NSA can be like, "Hey, we're gonna patent this thing, everybody. Look what we're using." No, they get Spotify to patent it. That way, nobody, throws. Everybody's mad at Spotify, and NSA's just laughing the whole way.
All I've got to say is that if I could get metrics on like this show and know when people get frustrated or bored, that would be useful information. That's all.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm pretty sure I can tell you exactly where they get frustrated and bored. They get
it's a one flat line.
I was gonna say when the show starts. That's when people get both frustrated and then bored.
All right. Looks like we have a story here about YouTube. YouTube has their automatic closed captioning feature, and it looks like they're introducing a new option to automatically translate the text from one country to another. They are testing this translation from English titles into Portuguese and Turkish at this time. This is a small area test again, much like our last feature we were talking about. But yeah, this is a cool use of the technology. Let's get the ability to have that universal translator in everybody's videos, guys. I want to see it all.
I seriously hope that one year for April 1st, when you switch it to Turkish, it'll be gobble 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 gobble.
And of course, for New Year's, you got to have, when you go to Swedish, you get the Swedish chef. Obviously, that's what you have to have there.
Yes.
That sounds great.
Cool. Yeah. I actually saw this in use recently because somehow I was clicking through to one of our videos, and somehow closed captioning it got turned on. And I was completely blown away that, holy crap, we have closed captioning, and we've done absolutely nothing in that regard.
And actually, it's halfway decent too. Google's gotten really good at the transcribing game.
Well, that's because they've got these things in everybody's houses listening to people talk 24/7
and getting the correct way to pronounce your name too.
Yeah. See, it's just like when they used that dude to realize that he could use CAPTCHAs to get people to solve the book scanning problem.
Oh yeah.
Same thing.
It's just so Google Assistant is actually just crowdsourcing NLP for Google.
It's both. I mean, the best thing you can do is get your thing to do or solve multiple problems. So it's, number one, it's helping you, and in turn, it's taking the data that you give it to help the auto caption stuff. So, yeah, all I know is, if you look at that picture, is that phone being held by a werewolf? That is an awful lot of hair on that arm. It's on the hand.
Okay.
Okay.
That
is totally a werewolf arm.
All right. Okay, here we go. We had last story of the night, I believe. Google has been making tablets. Did you know that they make tablets, the Android tablets? I know it's hard to believe. No, seriously,
Really?
they make devices that are larger than phones that run Android, or maybe they don't. They maybe a couple of them, but mostly they have other people do them. They are working on rebranding what was the Google Video app and the Google Play Video app and whatever there
Yeah.
to a new place, a new setting called the entertainment space. Right now, launching on what looks like mostly the devices that come from Walmart. This is the new way to access things like how to search for videos, how to search for audio, how to search for audio books and actual books, ebooks inside of it. This is the new central hub for having access to all the media available through Google.
It's just the Play Store. They just changed the name to Entertainment Space.
Yep, you're basically right. And maybe it's a good thing because I don't know.
Because the name was the problem.
I mean, the difference is that it's basically the Play Store with a tab for installed apps.
Which was the Play Store.
The Play Store. That's the Play Store.
Right, but what I'm saying is installed apps is literally a list, whereas this is a content type, more like the regular pages of the Play Store. So it's taking that My Apps and moving it into a more standard context page. I mean, sure, it'd be interesting to see what this actually looks like and how well it works. I think that the current system for finding content and entertainment related stuff is, it's fully reliant upon your own personal organization skills, which may or may not be good, right? So
all they gotta do is just call it stuff. What's in there? Stuff. Like videos? Music?
One of the things I really liked about the Google Play TV, the Google Play Movies and the Google Play TV app is that it had the ability for you to search for things and it would tell you where to find it, even if it wasn't on Google's apps.
Mm-hmm.
And when Google replaced those Google Play TV apps with just the Google
Play
TV
Store.
app,
no,
they actually have a specific Google TV app. It still does the same thing. But back in the day, it was all in one big app store and you could find it all. It did kind of have sections. You would kind of go into the book session and you had to come back out to get to the general store. This new one is supposed to make it so it's all very seamless between them. This is still just putting more layers of a facade on top of the house, and hopefully the facade will hold up the rest of the house, kind of thing. Unfortunately,
behind the facade of an innocent-looking bookstore.
Yeah. Well, I kind of like it. Those interfaces, mostly because I really haven't had access to much else. I like the fact that it lets me see other places to get the stuff if it's not a Google necessarily thing. That's cool. I'd like to see it. Yeah. We'll see if this is something that is good or not. I will not judge it yet, but I will judge it when it comes across.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, my feelings for the Google Play Store have changed over the years.
Oh.
But the one thing that has never changed is my feeling for our patrons.
Yeah, I know. Those nice people.
Absolutely. They're the nicest.
Man.
So, to all of you that are currently supporting this show via Patreon, thank you so much. You are literally our favorite people on the planet. If you're not currently subscribing it or supporting us, but you would like to, we don't care why. If you just want to be, you want to desperately want to be one of the people that we love, all it takes is $1 a month.
It's not a question of why.
Yeah. I mean, we always, anytime someone subscribes, we say why, but that doesn't change the fact that we're appreciative and you become one of our favorite people.
The answer to the question why is why not?
Why ask why? As Bud once said, why ask why? Try Bud dry.
Yeah.
But you should go over to patreon.com/the VOD Squad, and that is all it takes. All right. Let's head on over for some rants and some raves. Rants, raves, what do we got? Anybody who wants to take this away?
I'm going to start with last night.
Mhm.
I was sitting down after dinner, and usually it's, time to spend time with family
Mhm.
and do that kind of thing. And but everybody said, "Oh no, we're going to go to the store. We're going to go and do our thing. Just you sit and relax. Don't worry about it. You got nothing. You don't worry about it tonight." It's like, okay, I get to relax tonight. How nice. And the my phone beeped at me and said, "Oh, in about 20 minutes, we're going to start our podcast. And if you want to listen in, you can listen in if you go to join this Discord room." It's like, "Oh, who's that?" W. Scottus One, starting in his Cinemavention channel on his on the
Mhm.
Game Night network. So I listened in, and they recorded their episode. It was about 90 minutes long. I was able to do some dishes while that was going on and other things to to just keep myself busy. But it was quite a good episode. I had not did not know that W. Scottus One had never seen Star Wars,
Mhm.
and that was what the episode was about. So I
So,
was like, really?
for those of you that are not in the know, we have been kind of yelling at W. Scottus One for years because there are so many movies that he has never seen. So somebody convinced him after years of like basically abuse to start his own thing akin to it's different from movie party because they're actually watching stuff that should be paid attention to. Um, but then they're taking time to talk about it. So
Yeah, and so I listened to it. The Keith from our rivals from Ritual Misery podcast, of course. I was there to talk Star Wars. They talked about all kinds of since he has never seen Star Wars or any of the other movies. They limited it to the movie Star Wars
yeah,
and that information, and and there were things that Keith was like, "I so want to say
you
more,
mean
but I
Kent?
can't." Kent. Or did I say Kent? It was Keith. I'm sorry, Kent. Yes. But so he did a good job keeping it spoiler free for additional stuff in Star Wars. But we went in after I went in after that and decided to join them in their Discord just to chat with the guys. And so we decided to bring up a couple of things that were released shortly after the film. We I know that they sat and watched at least a little while of Hardware Wars, which, oh my god, I have seen the space battles of Hardware Wars because it's like, oh, that's funny. I love that. That's hilarious. I think that's great. I didn't realize that that they also had all that really amazing acting going on in that wonderful movie. And also, I found the 1997 making of video of Star Wars. Just Star Wars came out just after the movie was released, and it has a very young looking, very hip looking, very thin George Lucas. Sounds exactly the same. So it was interesting stuff to pay
So when
attention
is
to.
he gonna watch that THX movie?
I have no idea.
I don't know. Is
Anyways,
that a movie that anybody should watch?
I no, I have never seen THX 1138. Never have.
Anytime I see that name, I think of Firewire, which is IE 1394. But
Yep.
that's what I think of because of the
So
numbers.
I recommend anybody who likes to listen to somebody being introduced into crazy movies like The Big Lebowski, Jurassic Park, Monty Python and the Holy Grail, Die Hard. You can subscribe to cinemavision.com and you can or use any of the podcasters out there to podcast apps. It's pretty good. So
All
I
right.
recommend it.
Cool. Definitely have to check that out. Thanks. Um, I I haven't watched much except for another couple episodes of Alone. really not getting very far. But I have been watching like YouTube and stuff on my TV down here that's a Roku TV. And I may have mentioned this before, but it just drives me so crazy that it's worth mentioning again that like the Roku TV has a screensaver that comes on, and every time the stupid screensaver comes on, if you hit play again, it's always advertising something and it closes the app you were using and goes into that thing rather than playing the video you paused a few minutes ago. Drives me crazy. Roku, this is horrible and awful, and you shouldn't be doing this. Fix it.
But don't you have those amazing screensavers where you can see all the various cool things from various movies slowly going by?
I will say that I visually like the screensaver. There's one, it goes through, the one I selected goes through all the sci-fi scenes.
Yeah.
And there's like all kinds of different little bits from sci-fi movies.
So you're saying that if you leave it paused and it goes to screensaver, it comes back and it's not on where you paused it?
If you push like the up or the arrow button or something, you're fine. It'll actually just take screensaver off and start playing again.
Oh, yeah.
Which also doesn't make a lot of sense. If I push the up button, it shouldn't start playing. It should just turn the screensaver off and let me see what I paused.
See, I don't have that experience. Okay.
If I hit the play button,
yeah,
then it, instead of playing the video, it selects the ad that occasionally rotates in the screen.
Well, that's because so if you look at the ad that's on there, it'll have the thing that tells you how to interact with it. That one is play, so you just happen to select the, hey, show me the ad button.
No, I get that. And I think that that's a horrible thing. You should not make the play button be the show me the ad button. That's horrible.
I've never,
the play button is how you unpause.
Yeah.
The play pause button is how you unpause the video you're watching. If I hit pause, I should be able to unpause it the way I would unpause a video.
Yeah. But
it's just that, oh, you waited too long to hit unpause. And now we started showing an ad. And for some stupid reason.
See, I've never had that problem because I never hit the play button until I'm back to the screen where I should hit the play button.
Right. I don't always even look at my screen though when I hit play, because like I'll often pause music on YouTube. So I'm not even watching it. I'm just listening to the music. So I'll just hit play when I get off my meeting, and all of a sudden I'm at some it opens the Roku app or the whatever the ad is for and it just
See, and that's the difference is I always, before I do anything, I always look at the screen to see what the status is before I push anything. But a lot of those apps you can play and pause using the select button. But so I mean there's I've never had that problem.
The play button should play or pause. It's both of those functions. It should do those two functions and only those two functions. It should not be used to select ads.
I could say that I could agree that on one hand that they could use another button as a hotkey, but the whole point of those ads is to make it easy for you to see the ad.
They have this relatively unuseful star button.
Oh, I use that all the time.
They could just use that. Like it's not like there's no other implied meaning except for do something abnormal. The play,
it's a
the
menu
forward,
button.
the back, the arrow. It's a what?
It's menu button is what it is. But it brings up the sub menu in apps.
Yeah, and changes settings like so you can move things and stuff like that. Right? Like that would make sense to me. It would be an intentional choice, and it would not be any harder than hitting the play button, except you would do it on accident far less.
yet. And I will argue and say it's silly because you can get out of that screen using basically every other button. Just use any other button other than the play button.
Yes.
Back button.
No, I'm saying for you to
I-
get back to the video.
I fully understand that every button on the remote, other than that one, does accomplish my goal. But that is the natural one to use when you want to resume playing a video that you paused.
So what? Oh, the other solution: don't use a screensaver that has ads on it.
Is it possible?
Oh yeah,
Does Roku
the
have
aquarium one never has ads. There are certain
The Roku ones in particular.
yeah, well, there's certain screensavers that are brought to you by, like a couple years ago they had this Easter one and it was brought to you by Bounty. So it had like bounty coupons and stuff that you could interact with. Yeah, I've never seen ads on the like aquarium, which is one of my favorites, or it has been. I usually just keep my Roku set to whatever the default is, and it changes based on the season. But
Well, I gotta say, I mean, the screensaver is very cool, but I will happily change it to literally anything else to get rid of that feature because it's an evil feature.
yeah, because I mean, honestly, in my brain says using the play and pause button is the most it makes the most sense if you're gonna have that to interact with that ad, if you're gonna have that ad. But I probably would have designed it the same way. But
this is the person that yeah. I can't think of any appropriately slanderous statement to make about you at the moment, but there must be a very strong one for that statement.
yeah, I mean, because also that thing is on the screen, so it's not on the screen for long, and you need people to, if they're gonna interact with it, they need to be able to immediately interact with it. Otherwise, they're gonna go, if they have to hunt around for a button, they're just gonna go, forget it. And that play button is the one that you've got. People probably have the most muscle memory, so you can just go, ooh, play that, play. And but I
disagree.
I see your side, but okay. Well, yeah. I don't really know what to talk about. There's been like a lack of content in my
You've been
opinion.
busy, so
Yeah.
you've been actually going to work, haven't you?
Well, couple days every other week.
Okay,
So
that's not
it's one of those things where when I was told I had to go back to work, it works out to like maybe a week, a month, and I'm not going to complain about that because it could be way worse. As far as the company's concerned, I should be back there every day, every other week, because they divided it up, so that half the people come in 1 week and half come in the other week for COVID, yada yada yada, whatever. But yeah, I've been just busy, just exhausted, and every time the weather gets a little bit better and I get my I start to feel somewhat happy with life, I go, oh yeah, never mind, it's cold. Yeah, these 100 degree swings almost just drive me crazy and make me feel like crap. So that's it. That's my rant. Minnesota,
Okay.
still a terrible place. I don't know why anybody lives here.
Before we go too far, I did want to mention that it was mentioned in the chat that I probably mispronounced that website. It's Cinemavention, not
Yes.
Cinemavision. So it's like
Oh, I thought you said Vention. I
Well,
heard you say vention.
apparently, due to the margarita, I'm slurring a little. So
I always thought it was short for it's short for a cinnamon convention.
oh, it's a cinnamon convention.
I
Yum.
think
That
so.
sounds that would be really a horrible place to walk into because by the time I walked out, I couldn't smell a thing.
I mean, because there are different kinds of cinnamon from different
But
regions.
it would be total overload for me
Oh, I
probably,
bet.
and I would walk out and like I can't smell anything.
Yep.
Oh well. Anyways, just wanted to mention that I might have said
Yeah,
it wrong.
Cinemavention. All right. Well, on that note, thank you everybody for hanging out with us tonight. We will be back again next week, as we always are. Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Central, here on Twitch. If you're watching us after the fact, you should come hang out with us live sometime. You get to participate in the chat. You get to correct us when we say the wrong thing, or correct us wrongfully so that we can correct you back, which is one of my favorite things. It doesn't happen very often, but I really like it when it does. Yeah, also you get to submit titles, which we will vote on here in the post show. Yes, there is a post show. While it may not be super fancy, it's not something that you get to see after the fact. So you got to actually be here. And then if you weren't aware, you can get this after the fact, either on YouTube or from podcasts, which are available everywhere that podcasts are available. And I think that is enough said. So thank you, everybody, and we will catch you all next week. See you later. Bye.
Bye.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.